Welcome to Speak English with Energy.
Hey there! Welcome to Speak English with Energy.
I'm Lisa, and I'm here with Victor. Let's talk about speaking English confidently.
You know, I was in a meeting last week and I saw someone struggle to express themselves in English. They had great ideas, but their nerves got the best of them, and it was really frustrating to watch.
That's so relatable. I've been in similar situations where I felt my English wasn't good enough.
It's like you want to contribute to the conversation, but your fear of making mistakes holds you back.
And that's what we want to focus on today, helping you speak English confidently, even when you're feeling nervous.
So, let's think about a time when you had to speak English in a challenging situation, like a job interview or a presentation. Maybe you felt your heart racing, or your mind went blank, and you struggled to find the right words.
Exactly, and it's in those moments that we need some strategies to help us stay calm and focused.
That's right. So, let's dive in and explore some tips and techniques to help you speak English with confidence, even when you're feeling nervous. I remember a time when I had to give a presentation in English. It was my first big project, and I was really nervous. My heart was racing, and I was worried I'd forget what to say.
That sounds really tough. How did you handle it?
Well, I took a few deep breaths and focused on my message. I reminded myself that it's okay to make mistakes, and that I'd prepared well.
That's great advice, and it's something our listeners can apply too. So, what happened after you started your presentation?
As I began speaking, I started to feel more confident. My nerves didn't disappear, but I learned to manage them. And by the end of the presentation, I felt like I'd really accomplished something.
That's a wonderful feeling, and I'm sure our listeners can learn from your experience. What do you think is the most important thing for our listeners to remember when speaking English confidently?
I think it's to focus on their message and not be too hard on themselves.
One thing that might hold people back is the idea that they need to speak perfectly.
That's a great point, and I think it's a misconception that can really hurt their confidence. I remember a friend who was afraid to speak English because she thought she'd make mistakes. She'd studied English for years, but never practiced speaking because of this fear. One day, she decided to take a chance and speak up in a meeting at work.
And how did that go for her?
It actually went really well, and her coworkers were impressed with her ideas. She realized that speaking English wasn't about being perfect, but about communicating effectively.
That's so true, and it's something our listeners should keep in mind. What if someone is still feeling really nervous, though?
Well, I think it's about taking small steps and building up their confidence gradually. For example, they could start by speaking with a language exchange partner or a friend who's also learning English.
That's a great idea, and it's a lot less intimidating than speaking in a large group. Do you think there are any other common misconceptions that might be holding our listeners back?
One common mistake is trying to speak perfectly all the time.
That can be really overwhelming, especially for beginners.
I remember when I was learning a new language, I'd get so caught up in grammar rules. And then I'd freeze up, when trying to have a conversation, worried I'd make a mistake.
But the thing is, native speakers don't expect you to speak perfectly. They're more interested in communicating and understanding you.
So, a practical tip is to focus on getting your message across, rather than perfect grammar. Try to practice speaking in short, simple sentences, and build up from there.
That's a great idea, and it can really help to reduce nerves. Another tip is to listen to how native speakers talk and try to mimic their rhythm and intonation.
You can do this by watching TV shows or movies in English, or listening to podcasts like ours. Pay attention to how we stress certain words and how we link sentences together.
And don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's all part of the learning process.
So, try to relax, have fun, and don't worry if you slip up. Just keep practicing. I recall a specific recording where I sounded really nervous. My voice was shaking, and I spoke too quickly.
What did you do to calm your nerves in that situation?
I took a few deep breaths before speaking, which helped a bit. And I also reminded myself that it's okay to make mistakes.
That's really important, because perfection can be overwhelming. Did your approach to recording yourself change over time?
Yes, I started to focus more on my tone and body language. I realized, even when speaking English, nonverbal cues matter.
Nonverbal cues can completely change the way your message is received.
So, to recap, we've talked about how to speak English confidently, even when you're feeling nervous. We discussed preparing beforehand, listening to native speakers, and practicing regularly.
That's right, and I think it's also important to remember that making mistakes is okay. It's all part of the learning process, and it can actually help you improve faster.
One actionable tip I'd like to leave our listeners with is to record themselves speaking English. This can help you identify areas where you need to improve, such as pronunciation or intonation.
I think that's a great idea, Victor, because it can be really eye-opening to hear yourself speak. And it can also help you build confidence, because you'll be able to track your progress over time.
Exactly, and don't forget to be kind to yourself and have fun with the process.
Well, I think that's all the time we have for today, but it was great chatting with you, Victor.
See you next time on Speak English with Energy.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep speaking English with energy. See you in the next episode.